Let's do it.
Go.
Okay, at last we have the ability to talk to each other. Well done. So, I wanted to talk to the pair of you, really, about why women don't play. Okay, and the reason for that, just for anybody who isn't familiar with either of us, the reason is that I kind of was going along in my life thinking that I was a really fun person and that I did lots of fun things all the time. And then I came and had a weekend with you two and realised that what I tend to do is tell everybody else to go and have fun, and I'll kind of observe them and supervise that. I don't get in and involved with that myself. And, several games of hide and seek later, I'm going, this has to change. And so I've noticed that I have started making these changes. Do you want to say something? You can.
Yes. Do you remember that first game of hide and seek where you were like, yeah, I get this, but I'm just going to wrap the curtain around me and not really hide? The first round was that, was it not? Yes. And then she was like, right under the bed. Or you just lay on your bed going, I'm just lying on my bed. I'm not committing to playing just yet.
Yeah, it took a couple of games.
Last one, where I hid in the bath. I scared you good.
It was very good. Always top points for a good scare.
Thank you. So that was a real pivotal moment for me. Kind of going, I don't play at all. I don't have any fun really. And then working with you and getting to know you better, I obviously you come up in a lot of conversations, and what I'm hearing from women, or what I'm seeing in their faces, is this kind of play. We don't play. And I'm really intrigued by that, and I want to know why. Why have women stopped playing? What happened? So let's talk about that first.
So first of all, when we first launched the brand, the Playcation experience, and we were talking to mentors about what we do, they went, and I was doing calls with people, the word play, it's not going to work. You can't use that. No, people have bad connotations of play. It doesn't mean good things. You're going to have to use something else. I'm like, not going to happen. So I was like, no, all we need to do is change the framework around play. And here we are, 10 million hide and seek games later, changing the framework of play. Hurrah! Yeah. So what was the question again?
Why are women, I find it more with women are adverse to play and the word play. And I want to know why that is.
Well, here goes a rant. Are you ready? Society, blah, blah, blah. Very often women have their social construct of being demure, quiet, gentle, small, in your place, know your role, serve others, support, great. To do that, you can't be Larry, laughing, peeing yourself, laughing, etc., because, that wouldn't be seemly. That's the extreme of it. Have you seen that Facebook video that's going around at the moment of the guys around the pool that says, what men get up to when women aren't around? And I went, what? And it's these guys around the pool pretending the guys are trying to fish his friend like a barracuda out the pool with a big woggle and haha, and then bucket. Brilliant. It's the sort of thing we'd do. But there's women would do this. This is what men have to do when women aren't around, telling them to stop being stupid. So that's the mentality that women are the boring ones. Mm-hmm. The guys in the relationship are all the physical, haha, and women are the, have you had your tea, dear? Eat it all up. So there's that motherly thing that gets put around women from a certain age. Once you're fertile, please will you become the mother and keep us all in check and keep us all safe and fed, and that's your role. And a lot of women want to be having fun because they've got that little sparkly, giggly imp inside them. And there's that constraint of, well, your role is that. And usually women that are still wanting to will end up going to the pub with friends, getting lashed, and then going, nah, now I'm a bit Larry, but actually feeling crap the next day and then going, I can't afford the downtime. So that becomes their way of play, but they can't really do that either because the responsibilities of family, yawn. And so they start to go, I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the personal support space for it. I don't have the time for it. And all these excuses play into their reality of, well, this is my role now, and I have to put fun aside because there's so much work to do. Instead of finding ways, and I'm just probably summing up the whole of the thing in one little rant, instead of finding ways to bring playfulness into every single situation, they're viewing it as work and play, or responsibility and play, rather than play just being a part of everything that they get involved with. Sorry, Amy, did you want to say something?
Let me go. just going to leave a space for Sam to sneak a little question in. I'll continue the rabbit.
So why? That's interesting, and I find myself absolutely that resonates, and I find myself guilty of doing that. And as the mother of 2 boys, I have often said to my husband, why don't you go and play with the children somewhere? Why don't you take the children to the park? Why don't you take them swimming? Why don't I take them to the bloody park or take them, like that's not my role. And it is, I've got, well, while I cook Sunday dinner, why don't you go and do all of this fun? And I remember, about 7 years ago, speaking with a friend of mine who was complaining about her partner. They had a child, and he had been saying how easy it was to look after the child, and he didn't know what she was complaining about. And she was saying, but he gets to just play. When I'm looking after her, I have to clean and tidy and do the ironing and sort this out and do da. So she was seeing her time with her child not as anything playful, but as actually having to get on with life and look after a child. He was taking a break from getting on with life and just playing with the child. So how does that become normal? How is that normal for us? It's ridiculous.
There's definitely that thing though, isn't there, where the dad becomes the fun one in the parent thing. It's like, oh yeah, dad's home, he's the fun one, it's okay. And mum's here kind of stepping into her preconceived role as doing all the things and cooking the dinner and being the organised one and rah. And then it's all, I don't know, it's like society has just given or thrown those roles upon, I guess, men and women, and people have just accepted that as that's the way it is. And personally, I don't believe it should be that flipping way because I believe that's out of but people kind of just go, okay, I'm a mum now, I should be sensible. And the guy comes home from work and the kids are really excited to see him because the mum's been doing all the stuff and hasn't taken that time to kind of stop and play. And it's just, but I want to use a rude word and I'm not going to. Step in.
Well, another rant. You ready? I blame the school system. It sucks. So I'm going to go back to when girls are at school. There's a thing that happens, girls and boys up to probably about year 5, 6, they play in ways that are very physical, lots of physical games. Girls then seem to hit a certain age where they start to go, oh, I've got to pull back a bit and be this, because they start to model themselves on what they see. And what they see is women being restrained, demure, mum does this, dad does that, so I'm the female. And it's not as if they want to, because teenage girls will rebel and do skateboarding and rollerblading, but the minute they get into responsible age, oh yeah, we're supposed to be doing that role because we've seen it modelled. The whole school system as well is geared towards physical sport or academics. And girls, if they're not very physically rough and tumble and aggressive, which because of estrogen, etc., they don't tend to be, they go, oh, I'm not very good at that, and they'll withdraw, and they won't believe in themselves physically as much in general, I'm generalizing. And boys will take on that playful, physical play role. So also play gets confined and squashed into that box of, oh, it's physical play, rather than play being this immense toolkit of anything that brings playfulness. So that whole thing of play is the physical, so that's what dad will do because mum didn't do sport at school, or mum was sporty until she left school and then didn't bother, and dad's got that testosterone, of course I'm still 20 and can do anything, and takes the kids off to the park. So that whole cultural thing starts to play in there, where girls, young girls are seeing modeled to them their mothers going, okay, I have this role to play, that's what I do, and not playing. So this is my little move straight on to another question already. That's why we do the work we do with older women, not with teenage girls, because teenage girls might be, yeah, you can do all this, and they've got that courage, they've got that energy, and they can be encouraged to do it then. But what they're seeing in society around them is older women modeling no play. And be responsible, look after everyone else, don't worry about you so much, play that kind of role. And so they see that model, and even though they're wanting to play, they don't see any old woman modeling that back for them. So that's why we go, oh, you ladies, not playing, let's get you, and not playing as in, right, we'll take you all to the park, you might, but playing in terms of what lights you up, what makes you come alive. And some guys don't like physical play. And so if you say, dad does the physical play, he's going, do I really have to? Oh, because and so it's a two-edged sword for both, really. And it's encouraging people to play in the way that they play, not play is all physical or play is just games. Play is a playful attitude, and that's what we're kind of trying to bring into the mix with what we do.
That's really interesting. I think that kind of answers my question about why women are repelled by the word play, is because in their head it's the physical play. And I can totally understand. I did that same thing. I opted out of all sports in secondary school because I was small and not very good at it. I'm sure there were things that I was actually really good at, but I didn't have that opportunity in a class of 30 girls, you know. So I opted out. The one thing that I did do was I did dance, which I'd been doing since I was 5. I knew I could do that. That was fine. So that makes sense to me, going, actually, women associate the word play with being physical and rough and tumble and sport and that kind of thing. And it's that repels them. Whereas if they thought about their favourite board game as play, it wouldn't be so repulsive.
Yeah, and there is a big movement now towards that. This girl can. That whole movement, that whole marketing thing around girls getting involved in physical sport, doing longboarding, roller derby, that kind of stuff. So younger girls are going, yes, I can do the physical stuff. And it's not just sport, win or lose. It's physical activity stuff they're being encouraged into. So there's a whole generation of younger girls coming through that believing, of course I can skateboard, it's not a boys' thing. Of course I can be a snowboard, it's not a boys' thing. So they're growing up with that. However, the responsibility for us as an older generation, you will be older eventually, honest, is to say, yes, let's find our way to play. So we're modeling playfulness. It doesn't have to be, yes, I'll go rollerblade with my child, but it can be, it's not my sport, but I know how I play, and show that playfulness is inherent in everyday things.
And it's finding the essence of what play is to you, isn't it? And escaping that thing of, oh, play has to be this or play has to be that, or do you know what, I have to take like an hour out of my day to play, so I have to get all the work done first that I can play. It's going, no. Actually, play can be as simple as those games of hide and seek. What did we do? We yelled something, right? Everyone ran and hid. 5 minutes, the game's over. But actually, we've been crying under beds because it's been so funny. And
or in cupboards,
it's just, yeah, exactly. And it's just taking that almost little moment of play to kind of interrupt the pattern of the drudgery and the boredom of, you know, everydayness. And the more you can do that, and the more you can interrupt those patterns and just bring those little moments in all the time, that's where you actually find play. And there's that thing of play of, if there's no kind of what's the word I want?
George.
Yes, there's no George in play. if it goes wrong, well, hey, that's the word, consequence. Right? There's no consequences to play because you're just playing. There's no kind of fear around how other people react. There's no real there is no consequence. So it's like, okay, go play. And you might find that, oh, I didn't really like that game. Well, fine, change the rules, do it again. You're a good one for changing the rules, aren't you, Sam? Or bending the rules slightly to, you know.
And also, I think sometimes mums have this, if you are a mum, as in a woman who doesn't play with the kids anymore, whatever, there can be that thing where any decision you make has a consequence affecting your child. And as mums, we do that mum guilt thing of going, oh, if I do that, oh God, the consequences, the ramifications, keep everything controlled, safe. Ramifications, that's the word. So it's keeping that nice constraint that everybody's safe in the huddle. And so playfulness in terms of that, of going, there's no consequence, whatever. Mum's going, there is consequence. Be careful, put your jacket on, you'll catch a cold. So there's that whole thing of needing to look after, instead of going, yeah, actually, let's see what happens. Let's say, no consequence, let's go. And let's kind of put the option to go, again. So kids do that. They play and they go, okay, let's do it again. And go 500 times later, you still find it fun. I think I might die. But it's that attitude of again, until you go, no, I'm bored now. Turn, pivot, find something else. Where we want to go, it's always the same. We know where we are. We're safe. Nobody's going to die. And that's the responsibility piece that probably comes into play with a lot of adults, and women especially. Ooh, what if somebody dies? What if a leg gets broken then? And it's also the thing is, if we take that chance, that risk, something does happen, then, oh my God, something else I have to deal with. Now we're down A&E. Who's going to cook the tea? He's not going to do the hoovering. It becomes all that instead of so what? We're down A&E. Let's eat vending machine food. So it's that different attitude, I suppose, that can come into play, but it's that choice of saying, I let go a bit. And it's that letting go that can be scary, because we build these safe little worlds around us and we go, it's all in order. I know what I'm doing. I won't get stressed if it's all where I can control it. Instead of going, what if it's
But then that
not?
does turn into like a massive stress.
Yes, because
like
you've got to
huge stress.
keep it like this, safe, and that's even more stressful because that's tight and held and is a word.
I've found that myself. I've had a conversation with you kind of around it where I started planning all of my meals and all of my shopping lists, and you know, and like everybody had a different meal at dinner time, and it had to be at a certain time, and then I had to, oh no, I forgot the broccoli. Oh, what am I going to have if I've got no broccoli? And I was just getting more stressed about this instead of going, what have we got in the fridge? Okay, let's have that. So I get that. So my kind of wrap-up question for you is, why is it important, particularly for women, to play?
Oh, it's so important, because what even is the world without it? It gets so, as you just said, you put these like boundaries around yourself and you confine yourself to, I have to do this and this and this and this, and these are all my responsibilities, and they pile up and they pile up and they pile up, and like you said, you end up crying on the floor because you haven't got any broccoli. Well, if you could actually add a bit of play in, those little situations wouldn't become quite so cry-worthy, right? Because you would just pivot and find a different solution. And it kind of allows you to, yes, it allows you to lighten up, and it allows you to bring a completely different attitude to everything, which then saves you from that depression, which inevitably down the line happens, and the you know, just going down the line yeah, but you know, and the kind of the drudgery and the dullness, and you then, you know, you start to become ill because you're trying to do too much, and it just all gets too much. However, if you can find that little bit of playfulness just to completely shift your attitude to everything, you're kind of actually keeping yourself healthy and keeping yourself going. What you want to add?
Of course we're going to add something, but not that, because that was good. There's a guy called Stuart Brown, MD. He's a scientific researcher who researched play and the benefits of play and why to play. So if you want the science bit of play and how it benefits the human brain, productivity, creativity, our adaptability in life, he's brilliant for that. He speaks about nowadays people are not necessarily hiring people that are, I've got all the knowledge. They're hiring people that can problem solve. And problem solving comes through being able to play and go again, take a risk, look at all the angles, let's create new things. And playfulness encourages that in everybody's mind, in your physicality, in your mind, in your heart, in your kind of feely feelings. We like feely feelings. So the importance of play is that. And not only for ourselves, but for the world around us, for the people included in our lives, for our kids who watch it, for our partners who put up with us, or that we put up with them, so we can playfully go, oh, look, here comes the cave troll. Lovely. It's like using imagination. It's reframing stuff easily rather than, oh, it's how it is, there's no solution. It's being able to see solutions easily because you allow yourself that flexibility and flowy, gooey of play, which I like to do. That's the technical term. The other thing, the importance of play is learning to do it your own way. Because people might go, okay, play, and you go, oh, but I don't like that kind of play. If it's something about play, you go, it's not your type of play.
Oh, people who go, I don't play. Yes, you do. You just have lost the essence of how you play. There's so many ways.
Yes, and it's connecting to play is a feeling inside you. It's an experience that you create and choose to engage with. And it's allowing that to happen for you in the way that makes you come alive, and not being afraid when something doesn't make you come alive to go, hey, that was fun. Oh God, how can I get out of this? It's going, no, it doesn't work. Kids will do that. Kids are playing a game. One kid goes, no, I don't want to play anymore. They'll find something else. We as adults should do the same thing. Probably with a little bit more diplomacy if you want to keep any friends, but same. And change the rules. Often when kids are playing, or when there's playfulness, even with animals going on, the rules shift and change all the time. And that's the adaptability I'm talking about, that ability to say, ooh, the framework changed. Ooh, that changed. Okay, we changed the boundaries, the constraints, the information. It all shifts all the time. And it makes us quicker to respond, quicker to adapt. And because of that, we grow. And all life is about growing. And that's why women can start to feel a bit, because they stop growing. They stop that quick change, that lifting, changing, shifting, adjusting. And they go, I'm only this. And then when they want to achieve something, they go, but I can't because I'm like a brittle little twig. It's like, start playing and little buds will go, boop, boop, boop. little buds of growth will start to appear. Promise, promise, promise. If it doesn't, I'm coming around your house, I'm going to rebud you, because it is doable.
Rebud.
Maybe that's not a word. Okay.
It can be a word. It can be a word. So what would be your top tips for women who are watching this, who are going, yeah, I don't know how to get started. I don't know how to play. How can they make a start? What would you suggest that they do?
First thing I'd suggest is think back to how you used to love to play when you were a kid. The thing that you would do on repeat easily, and you love the feeling of, you love the engagement with, and don't think, okay, so that thing I'm going to, so if you loved running around the park, you might not want to go run around the park and seem like some loony kind of mum, and everybody's going, whoa, who's been on the gym a bit early today? So it might not be the exact reframe, but it's the essence of that thing you used to really love doing. I think as a child, it makes me so excited. So was it being out in nature? Was it having space to move as you want to move? Was it being with other people in that space or not? So thinking of those things and the feelings, the circumstances, the people involved, and start to notice those and say, where in my life do I have that? If there's nowhere, start to create those little moments and see if that brings that feeling of playfulness back. If it was being in a room on your own with books and worlds of imagination, go back to that, because that's where you'll start to find that bubbly playfulness that is completely individual to each person. That's why I say start. Remember the story that's gone before.
Okay.
I would almost go with kind of write it, but if you're a bit of a wordy person, just writing down all the things that light you up. Like what is it that actually puts a smile on my face? Is it, okay, sitting in a tree? If I sit in a tree, it just makes me smile. Is it seeing certain people doing certain things? Is it actually when I walk around the corner and someone jumps out on me, does that actually just make me laugh? And if it's that, we do that a lot.
That's fun.
Is that, and those things, and then kind of, as Ruth was saying about the feelings, finding the feelings that those things attach to, and creating that excitement, and then try it. Just find those things that do make you smile. Just jump out on someone and see what happens. See what their reaction is. Exactly. But try it. Do something. Get started with something. If you don't like it, shift it. And there's always ways to shift and to pivot around it.
And the important piece of this is, especially as mums or women run their own businesses, it can be quite lonely. A lot of times, I'm just stuck with my kids. Find a friend to do it with. That support piece is quite important. If you're kind of experimenting with new feelings on you, I'm not brave enough. Find somebody who goes, all right then. Oh my God. Because honestly, giving people frights, the funniest thing for me is waiting in anticipation.
It's the anticipation.
The anticipation is the best bit, but it's because I'm connecting with somebody else. Usually have. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. It's that anticipation and knowing that somebody else is involved in it with me. And that's what I hide and seek. It's because the other people are there with you. We're all going, yes, let's all do it together. That support is really important for getting you started. Yeah, that's all.
Fabulous. Okay, so I think that we're kind of at the end of our chat. So if you've got any final words that you would like to share.
George.
Herbert. That's for you, Louise.
Very helpful. I know. I've said enough words. Loads of words. Final words. Is this meant to be the grown-up bit where I say something that's useful?
No?
She said no. Okay, good.
Let's play a game. Let's get them to play a game.
They can't, everyone's on silent.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, if you want to play a game or have a chat about playing a game or go, I don't get it, but I want to get it, send me a Facebook message, for goodness sake. Pop me a Facebook message or contact Sam and go, are those weirdos really all right to talk to? They won't bite, will they? They don't bite often. But yeah, pop me a message if you got confused about, what do you mean? This is me. I don't know how to connect this message to me. And more than happy to chat, as you can tell. And just go, this is how you play. Try this, go, play. Because sometimes it just needs that encouragement and somebody to look and go, what about that? And go, oh yeah, forgot about that. So that's my final words.
Excellent.
She does good jazz hands.
She's a dancer.
Oh yeah,
she's got brilliant jazz hands.
I'm very proud of my jazz hands.
I have to thank my mum, my hand model.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure.
Let's get this video up and everywhere so that everybody can enjoy it and start playing more.
Correct.
Play more.
Because what do we always say?
Life's your playground.
Play it your way.
Well done.
Thanks, Sambel.
Love you, Sambel.
Oh.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for watching.